founder and CEO of Rise, Nick Kennedy is creating a new category of travel that eliminates the hassles associated with frequent flying. Nick founded Rise with a laser focus on transforming the air travel experience for frequent travelers. In a very short time, he assembled a world-class team and leveraged his technology and client service background to develop an accessible, high-touch, and highly scalable business model that has positioned the company to lead the next generation of air travel. His career started with EDS and then shifted to helping build successful entrepreneurial ventures that were acquired by companies like NCR and Nance Health. During that time, he accumulated more than 2 million air miles while losing hundreds of hours of productivity and time with family. As a natural entrepreneur and problem solver, Nick came up with an idea that would make private flying more accessible and economical for everyday business people, but without the expensive capital and operational burdens associated with owning planes. Since founding Rise in 2015, he has given thousands of frequent travelers in Dallas, Austin, and Houston the ability to be home for breakfast, in another city for meetings, and back in time for soccer practice. Nick lives in Dallas with his wife and their 3 children. He is an avid sportsman who enjoys cycling, skiing, and running, and has completed the Ironman triathlon. Please join me in welcoming Nick Kennedy.
Thank you, Eric, for that introduction. You see it here? Hey, microphone. Nobody look. Found it. My director of communications, Angela Varga, back at table 28, is having quite the time right now. Thank you, Eric, for that introduction. Thank you all. Just believe it or not, I did do an Ironman triathlon. It says more about my stubbornness than it does about my athleticism. I was this big, or right around there when I completed it. It took me about 15 hours, and it says a lot about being an entrepreneur and why it's important to be stubborn and not stop for what you're doing. What a delightful event to be here. I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be at this event where we get to honor businesses that are being honored for the things that they're doing in the community. You know, business is a fascinating subject to me. I have been in different industries. I've been in the healthcare space. My last business was an oncology decision support company. I didn't know anything about cancer at the time when we started it. This current business is an aviation business. 2 years ago, I didn't know anything about planes. I barely know anything about planes right now. However, our pilots and mechanics know a lot about planes, so you're in safe hands, just to be clear. But it's really business that I like, right? Because we have an opportunity to do a lot of good things. Before we get started, though, I want to understand the audience by a show of hands. How many of you have ever started a business? And it could be your lemonade stand, it could be, okay, great. How many of you have ever been responsible for a payroll? Okay, more people. And then how many of you have been responsible for a P&L? Maybe a large company, like Buckso. Okay, all of you guys here, almost. Final question, how many of you believe you can do a better job than the goofball who's currently in charge of you? Oh, we got someone back there. Yeah, back there. It may or may not have been, never mind, I'm not going to go. I've got some really good news for you and some kind of bad news for you. The really good news is, in spite of all the bad news that's happening in our presidential election, every day it gets worse and worse, right? It's a rush to the bottom. I don't care what political party you're from. The good news is you guys in this room who control businesses, who employ people, who pay your vendors on time, who do an ethical business across the board, the good news is you collectively and your peers across the country have, by a factor of 10, maybe 20, maybe 100, more power than either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. Let me say that again real quick. The people in this room who actually control business have more power than either one of the individuals who are trying to be elected for president. So take hope today, regardless of what happens with our president. Take hope that if you do your jobs, the way capitalism was decided and actually created, that it's going to be okay. It really is. The bad news is it's really hard to do what we've got to go do. But I want to go back before we jump into all the things we've done. We started Rise to do one thing really well, and that's give time back to people. We give busy executives the opportunity, as we said in the bio, to have breakfast with your family, go do business in another city, be back in time for soccer practice. It really came out of a crisis in my own life. Now, I don't come from money. In fact, I come from the opposite of money. When I was 18 years old, I had a 1973 VW Bug in San Diego, California. I sold for $1,300 cash. I had a duffel bag at $1,300, and I left. I got a baseball scholarship, and I left and went away to college. It's my entire possessions of my life. Graduated from college. I came down. I was lucky enough to come to Dallas, get recruited by EDS, fabulous company, and I came down here in 1999, and I got to work for EDS. I started doing several different startup companies, and the first one that we started, man, I had finally arrived in this world. We were finding some success, we were selling things, we were creating some revenue, we were creating some profit, we were about to sell the company. And one day, the mail came, and I went out to the mailbox to get it, and I walked back in, and I had this envelope. And I'm staring at it like it's a piece of gold. It was actually wrapped in gold. It was a gold envelope. And I'm holding it up, kind of like, any Lion King fans in here, like Rafiki holding Simba up, right? I'm holding it like this, and my wife comes to me, my beautiful, gorgeous, funny, hot, intelligent wife comes to me and says, "What is that?" And I said, "Honey, this is my American Airlines gold card." I finally arrived. Now, I'm a kid who, at Christmas, had like the non-for-profits bringing them jeans that didn't fit them, right? I mean, I didn't ever have the experience of enjoying things all that well. And I got this card and I thought, I finally arrived. I've traveled 25,000 miles. Little did I know is that gold card turned into a platinum card, an executive platinum card, over and over and over again to become the bane of my existence. Because what I saw in that time was a tear well up in my wife's eye. The symbol to me was I had arrived. Right? I had enough money to go travel around, try to sell things, build a business. To the symbol to my wife was I was gone. And over the course of the next 10 years, as I built and sold different companies, it was a constant struggle. And candidly, I was not the man I wanted to be. C.S. Lewis has this great quote. He says, "Man thinks it's finding his way in this world, when really the world is finding its way in its man." Right? I was finding myself in this world, but I wasn't the dad I needed to be. I wasn't the husband I needed to be. I wasn't the friend I needed to be. I was in the community. And luckily, the company that we had built, the Oncology Decision Support Company, which I'm very proud to say has now helped save thousands of lives, making sure that people get the right treatment for their cancer care, was acquired by a billionaire. Now, billionaires are a whole different breed than anybody you've ever run across. This guy had a private jet. He had a Gulfstream 550, which is, at the time, was the premier jet. I mean, you could fly from here to Shanghai on it while watching the Dodgers. Any Dodgers, Broncos fans? It's good night for the Dodgers and Broncos. And you could sit on this jet and I thought, this is the greatest thing in the world. This is what I want. But then I had an epiphany. It wasn't about how fancy the jet was. It allowed me to not be duplicitous. It allowed me to be a business executive, be where I needed to be when I needed to be there, and be home for my family when they needed me, with my friends, etc. So Rise is born out of the idea that we can use private planes to give time back to people. We don't sell seats on planes, we sell seats at a dinner table. Our planes should fade in the background, our technology should fade in the background. All we do is save time for our members so they can be who they were created to be, right? That is what we do as a business. Rise has been around for about a year. We've flown over 20,000 members. We currently fly scheduled flights Dallas, Houston, Austin, San Antonio next week. You pay about $2,000 a month. Fly all you want on a private plane. You show up 10 minutes before the plane takes off. There's a car waiting for you when you land. You're on there with other business executives. You get to do lots of business. But it started out of a crisis. And I'll tell you what I know about business. I know a lot of what not to do in business, but I'll tell you what I think every great business needs. It needs to understand its vision. It needs to understand its values, and it needs to understand its purpose. So for us, when we think about what we do, our vision is we want to give time back to our members so they can be who they're created to be. Now, why is that important? We have a problem with capitalism. right now, right? Capitalism is a dirty word. And when's the last time you saw a movie where the business executive wasn't an evil, conniving individual, right? Always that way. It's a fat lie. I want to remember 2 dates. If you take nothing out of this, but 2 things, take these 2 dates. 1777 and 1989. 1777, from 0 AD to 1777, all of humanity across the world, from an intelligence standpoint, life expectancy standpoint, GDP standpoint, was effectively flat for almost 2,000 years. And in 1777, it escalates. Life expectancy. By the way, in 1777, you were lucky if you made it to 35 years old. You didn't live past 40. In 200 years, we've doubled. Now we're approaching 80. And it's skyrocketed because of one thing, because of the steam engine. Because of the innovation of Mr. Watt, he created the steam engine, the Industrial Revolution happened. Capitalism, in that situation with the innovation, has created more education, eradicated illiteracy, created more health, created more freedom across the board than any other thing in the history of the world. And you guys are representative of capitalism. But we screw it up because we get too greedy at times, right? And that's what goes up on the news. But not these businesses here. And I want to encourage you as we think about the presidential election. We have a saying within Rise: no margin, no mission. Never less than profits, so much more than profits. Let me give you an example of what that looks like. My body does not exist to produce red blood cells. My body exists for a lot of other things. But my body can't exist without red blood cells. Your business does not exist to make money. It shouldn't. It can't exist if you don't make money. That's the oxygen, the red blood cells that you need to make your business well. But it's not the reason it should exist. It should exist for a lot of other reasons. So our values within our business are focused around our stakeholders. Our stakeholders are our members. How do we take care of our members? Do we honor them? Do we take care of them? Do we give time back in their life, value for the buck? Do we take care of our community? Are we invested in our community? Are we focused on our community? Are we helping through that entire process? My investors. We've been effectively friends and family and personal money is invested in Rise so far. Very little money has come in from a capital perspective. But how do I take care of those investors and make sure they want to give us more money? My employees. Those are our stakeholders. How do I make sure that they're engaged? How do I make sure that we're investing in them across the board? And how do you make sure you're doing that with your employees as well? And then, last but certainly not least, is my vendors, my partners. All of these have to be aligned for business to work really well. Right? So if my vision is to give time back to my members, and I don't know anything about planes. Like 2 years ago, there were 3 people on the face of the earth that believed Rise would be successful. 2 of them were my wife and my mom, and I don't even think they thought it would be successful. And from 20,000 people. I don't know anything about planes. My extent of planes is if you push forward on I don't even know if it's a yoke, steering wheel, I don't know what it's called, right? You push forward, the houses get bigger, you pull back, they get smaller. Now I can make a mean Manhattan in the back of our planes, but I don't know how to fly a plane. But that's okay because we have great pilots and great mechanics and great people who make sure you fly safe and efficiently. Right? So in our world, how do I make sure to align all of our stakeholders? We've created a 2-sided marketplace. One side is our members. We provide for them a service where they pay us to fly on private planes for 1/10 the cost of flying private, for about 20% more than flying commercial. As an example, we have another product called Rise Anywhere, which is crowdsourcing for planes. Any A&M fans in the room? Look, we got a couple whoops, okay? You can fly to Tuscaloosa this weekend for the football game, land 2 hours before the game starts, take off an hour and a half afterwards on a private plane on a love field for about $800 round trip. How do you take things that exist already, right? There's 8,000 private planes in America. There's 5,000 paved runways. The average plane in America flies 287.3 hours a year. We go to those operators that own those planes and we say, hey, why don't you let us use those? And we fly them 1,200 to 1,500 hours a year. I'm aligning with my operators so they can make money doing what they do, which is flying planes, because I don't know how to. Alibaba is the largest retailer in the world with no inventory. Airbnb is the largest hotel in the world with no hotel rooms. Uber is the largest taxi in the world with no taxis, rising to be the largest air transportation company in the world with no planes. That's our goal. Rise will be $1 billion company in the next 2 to 5 years. Because we've hit on something, right? The commercial experience of flying commercial is right up there with getting your teeth pulled and paying your taxes. We've taken what is arguably one of the greatest inventions in the history of the world, flight. We become birds ourselves. And who wants to actually go to the airport these days? And on the other side, you have traveling private. It's better than the second house. It's better than the Ferrari. It's better than everything. You finally arrived if you have access to a private plane. By the way, just to be clear, in 380 million people in the U.S., there's probably 20,000 people that truly can afford to fly private all the time. I mean, it's astronomically expensive. There's no other industry in the world in which you have the same commodity, two different planes, one's a little bit faster, one's a little bit smaller, in which the experience is vastly different. We break that down and we sit somewhere in the middle there. The second date I want you to remember is 1989. My 6-year-old daughter wanted me to remind you that's when Taylor Swift was born. But a lot of things happened in 1989. So 1777, the steam engine, capitalism takes over, innovation takes over, the world changes forever. 1989, something else happened. And here's why you need to pay attention, because there's nothing you can do to get out of this. This is going to change your world forever. Number one, communism was declared dead, Berlin Wall fell, Tiananmen Square happened. Exxon Valdez crashed in Alaska. For the first time in the news, we had a major corporation causing harm to the environment. Right? Every night we saw the seagulls get pulled out of the water. The World Wide Web was created. Thank you, Al Gore, or whoever actually did that. These things happened in 1989. There was a confluence of different things that happened. And so what's happened since then is we've created more information. Every year, more information is created than in the 100 years previously, today. There's an effect called the Flynn effect. And it basically says that the average person today is more intelligent than 98% of the people 100 years ago. You're not getting smarter, but your kids are going to be smarter than you, and your employees are going to be smarter than you. Now, why does that matter? The other thing that happened in 1989 was the millennial generation is being born. Baby boomers, the richest generation in the history of the world, was creating more wealth than had ever been seen before, and they were spending it. And they were taking care of their children, as you should. Nothing was out of reach. The schools, the cars, the clothes, the trips, everything. And so that's happening. We've created this narrative, which is false, that millennials don't like to work hard. The millennials won't show up to work on time. The millennials are going to be the hardest group to ever work with. And I would present to you this. That's a false narrative. Millennials, which will be 50% of our workforce by 2020 and 75% by 2030, that's why you can't get away from it. Millennials want authenticity. From a baby until teenage, they had everything they ever wanted. And so now they've entered the workforce, and we have to find ways in our businesses to create values and vision and purpose for them. It's a huge deal for us to think about as a group. Now remember, bad election, crazy stuff going on in the election. We have the power to fix it, but you have to understand you got to change your mindset, and that's going to cause you to have to be vulnerable. It's going to have to cause, you're going to have to go through and think about how you've thought about things in the past and change your mindset with regards to that. So, with regards to millennials, let me tell you a quick story. We started Rise, we started flying in July of 2015. The first week, one of our employees, who will remain unnamed, who's now one of my favorite employees, she was on her first week of the job. She was supposed to have been there at 5:30 in the morning to make coffee for one of our first flights going out. It's our first week. We've been waiting for a year. I wrestled with the Department of Transportation for 9 months in Washington, D.C. to get the right to go do this. The FAA, everything. I mean, we've been waiting for this forever. Myself, I show up, another executive shows up, and this person who's supposed to show up to do the work, the millennial, doesn't show up. And I think to myself, it's all true. They don't know how to show up on time, they don't know how to work, they don't know any of this kind of stuff, it's all true. What am I going to do? The members come, we launch the plane, I make the coffee, everything goes off without a hitch, and she still doesn't show up, and I go back to my office. We're down at Love Field, we launch out of that hangar down there at Jet Aviation, and we go back to my office. And I'm in my office, and I'm thinking through, how am I going to break to this newly graduated Baylor grad that this is her shortest job she's ever going to have in her life. And she walks into my office, and she says the only thing she could possibly say, which is, I am so sorry, I have no excuse. I overslept. On the way here, I bought 6 different alarm clocks. I'll never do it again. I'll work tonight, I'll work tomorrow, I'll work the following night, I'll do whatever you want. Please don't fire me. She came in and she humbled herself, and she's become one of our best employees. Our members love her.
Yeah.
She's taking care of it. She wants authenticity in her life. The reason our employees like what they do is because, not because they get paid, they do get paid, they get paid well, and we take care of them, and we invest in them. They care because they see in their lives a dad who wasn't in their lives getting on the plane to go do business to get back in time for soccer practice. So they get up early to make coffee, and they stay late to make sure the rental cars are there when they land and those type of things. Right? That's the focus of our business. So Rise, from a purpose perspective, Rise exists to take care of its employees. It's a new one, right? We're supposed to take care of our customers. We exist to take care of our employees. We have several different values in our business. Servant leadership is one of them. If I wake up in the morning and think, how can I serve my management team, and I ask my management team to serve our employees, and our employees, in fact, serve our members, thus begins the virtuous cycle. And you get things like, this is we ask our members every time they fly with us, how are we doing? And we get some good things and bad things. This came across today. The experience was unbelievable, and I cannot believe how easy it was. Your team, to the flight, to the comfort, to the speed and easiness of arrival, exceeded my expectations. Now that I've flown Rise, how can I ever go back? It's not because our planes are faster or fancier or anything else. It's because a millennial got up early this morning, made fresh coffee, welcomed them in, asked them how their day was, asked how their marriage is going, asked them how we can help them with their kids. That's why business succeeds. That's why you shouldn't worry about this election. You control the economy, not the president. It doesn't matter who's going to be president. If we do our jobs and we are able to pour back into our employees, into our investors, into our communities, we can change things across the board. Let me tell you one quick story and we'll wrap this up. The billionaire who acquired my business is a guy named Patrick Soon-Shiong. He lives in Los Angeles. The little things in your business matter. This is kind of an extreme story, but I'll tell you real quick. Patrick came to America from South Africa. He's Chinese by birth or by descent, born into South Africa, left communist China and in South Africa. Came to America with $1,500 in his pocket 20 years ago. He's doing research in which he's transplanting T-cell stems from a pig to human beings, trying to cure diabetes. And he finds a disease that up until that time had not been found. And he stops his research. Now mind you, he doesn't have any money at this time. He gets sued by his investors, and he is out of luck. Fast forward 10 years after that, he buys a company called APP Pharmaceuticals, it's a generic drug company, and one of the drugs they produce is called heparin. Heparin is a blood thinner used in every surgery in the world and used by every dialysis center in the world. It's a drug you need. Heparin comes from, the raw materials come from pigs. Patrick, when he buys APP, says, I want to own the entire supply chain, all the way back to the pigs. His executives said no, his board said no, his investors said no, everybody said no, and he made it happen, and he owned it. 2008 comes around, and there's a heparin scare in the United States. There's 3 companies that the FDA has approved to give heparin. 2 of them have outsourced their pigs and cannot prove that the pigs are not tainted. He's the only company in the world that can provide heparin to the United States. It's used in every surgery, every dialysis center in the world. Because he made a decision from a situation 20 years ago to own that supply chain. Little decisions matter. He sold that company in 2008 to Fresenius, a German company, for cash, for several $1 billion. It's now worth $14 billion. He also sold another company. That decision made all the difference in the world, and he cashed out in 2008, in June, right before the financial crisis. We're amongst friends, don't share this story. I was in his office one day, Arnold Schwarzenegger walks in. And I asked Patrick, why was he there? And he said, California can't make its payroll. They've asked me to buy $1 billion of bonds so they can make the payroll. That's what happens when you make the right decision. When you know that tainted pigs can kill people, and it doesn't make sense, you should cut the corners and make your investors happy, and make your board members happy, and your executive, but you decide to say, I'm going to do the right thing. The little things matter across the board. And here's the last thing I'd like to do. You have the power to make a difference. We all do. But you've got to have the courage to do it, to understand that the things that have happened in the past are not going to get you where you need to get in the future. This is a great opportunity. I'm so excited to be here for these businesses, to see these businesses and who the winners are today. I'm so excited to see all the great work you're doing here. Thank you for the opportunity to share. Have the courage to make sure you make the right decisions in your business. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you, Nick. Instead of presenting you with another piece of tchotchke or another memento, we're going to make a contribution in your name to Cafe Momentum. That's a local restaurant that employs young adults who've been released from the Dallas County juvenile justice system. So thank you again. That was great. Now I'd like to introduce Amanda Mahaney from Comerica Bank. I'll tell you a little bit about the Business of the Year Award and recognize previous winners and this year's nominees. So, Amanda?
Thank you, Cecil. I had a couple of great takeaways from your talk. I really enjoyed listening to the vision, values, and purpose, and really understanding what that meant to your company. And I also wrote down, you said it 3 times in your presentation, you control the economy. It's a pretty powerful statement if you think about it. So I thought that was pretty meaningful, and I hope you guys took away some things from his presentation. I get to do the fun part of the presentation and tell you about the Business of the Year. As it was mentioned by Cecil at the beginning, 2016 marks the 31st annual presentation of the North Dallas Business of the Year Award. Comerica Bank is proud to sponsor the event with the Chamber and partner with them for this year's event. We really believe this award recognizes those companies and businesses in North Texas that align with our core values and vision for our market. We strive at Comerica to bring each of our partnerships and customers a level of banking and service that promotes integrity, excellence, and involvement in the community. It is our focus that we not only deliver a higher level of banking, but also customer experience, and that we play a critical role in the success of each of your companies. Much like each of you and the winners of this award historically, we believe that our success is critically linked to our involvement in the Chamber and the communities we serve. We've already introduced last year's winners who are sitting at this table. I would like to also acknowledge another winner that's in the audience today. Our 2013 winner, Amanda Buckley with Omni Architects. Welcome. Many of you had the opportunity to be a part of this process, so you'll know that our selection committee had a really difficult time this year. We had a staggering 41 nominees for the award, and that committee, led by Tom Sadler, went above and beyond the call of duty. They schedule individual interviews with each of the nominees. They go out and they talk to them about what is your mission and vision and purpose, all of those things that are important to your business and what makes you successful. And they try to understand those things so that they can make an educated decision. Our thanks to Tom and his committee for the many hours of hard work that they spent during this process. Please hold your applause till they're all introduced, but I would like to recognize the members of the committee. If you would stand, I'll recognize each of you. Bob Cole with Schoolies Mitchell. Tom Sadler, the chairman. Megan Cortinas, It Crowd Marketing. Dale Farquharson, Insperity. Linda Globin, the Mentis Group. Eric Goldberg, IMA Wallman. Bobby Goodman, IMA Wallman. Bob Hendren, Higginbotham and Associates. Darian Jones, Merrill Lynch. Tony Mayfield, Whitley Penn. Ellen Miller, Passing Hats. Melody Rosansky, IMA Wallman. Kevin Rockacharlie, BKM Suwan, Horan. Almeda Theismann, Schoolie Mitchell. Sandy Tripto, Reliant Energy. Bob Trice, New York Life. Justin Wong, Fire Brick Advisory. And Benny Wright, Janssen International. I got the opportunity on the way in to visit with a lot of you that are here, but if you didn't stop by the display tables and sort of kiosks that were set up in the entry, I encourage you to do that. I hope you had the opportunity to network and really learn more about the nominees of this year's award. I really encourage you to make that stop on your way out, because I believe you'll find that time to be beneficial to you. It is now time to recognize our nominees for this year's award. We are grateful that each of you allowed us into your businesses, which we know are your homes. Most of the time, we spend more time there than you do probably with your own family. So thank you for that. Thank you for teaching us what you do and who you serve and what your company's mission is. I know it's an honor that you were nominated, and we really congratulate each of you on your nomination. Several of our nominees could not be with us today, but we did want to recognize them. So there is a list of all of the nominees in your program if you want to peruse and see who else was nominated. We are pleased that several of you are in the audience, and I'm going to ask Cecil Edwards to join me on stage. We're going to present certificates to each of our nominees. As I call your company's name, please come forward to accept this small token of appreciation from the Chamber and its sponsors. Aldinger Company. Bob Lilly Promotions. Brenton Benefits. Cancer Support Community North Texas. Carter Financial Management. Chapman Hext Company. Charlie Uniform Tango. Credo and Associates. DHD Films. Takeda Engineering. Dress for Success Dallas. Economy Tire. European Specialty Services. Fabricator Stone Group. Fast Signs. Gadberry Construction. iDebris. Judd Thomas Smith and Company. Liquid Agents Healthcare, Local Yocal Farm to Market, Ming Wang, Orchestra Technology, Ovation Health and Life Services, Pre-Kendall, Preservation Tree Services, SOSI, Staff 1, Storage Equipment Company, TerraCore Panels, Thuman Agency, Verviva Telecom, and last but not least, Your Cause. Let's give all of our nominees a big round of applause. So I am as anxious as you guys to find out who the winners are. They have been kept secret until today. So this time I would like to ask Jacob Tyndall with 5G Studio and Jeff Hurt with Southwest Credit Group to come up and present this year's winners. These two gentlemen are last year's winners.
Thank you, Amanda. I mean, these are just incredible companies doing amazing things. So it is with our pleasure to announce the winner for this year, which is Local Yocal Farm to Market. I'd like to tell a little bit about his company.
Matt Hamilton grew up farming, ranching, and being involved in all facets of agriculture. Wanting more confidence knowing what customers are really buying, he decided to take production into his own hands. And that passion is what lies behind the desire to give a healthy, fresh, grass-fed beef option to the public. In 2009, he started Genesis Beer, and soon thereafter, the dream of Local Yocal Farm to Market began. Located in the heart of McKinney Town Square, Local Yocal is more than the magazine's 2015 corner butcher shop. It has become a fixture within the local restaurant community by competing directly with large chain suppliers and providing the highest quality customer service and grass-fed Wagyu beef. With 15 full-time employees, Local Yocal has designs on developing brick and mortar restaurant and continuing to increase in the presence in Dallas. Key community involvement doesn't stop the business side. As Matt and his employees continue to contribute to the success of such local programs as Co's Cloth of the Kid, Cornerstone Ranch and Special Needs Community, LSO Ranch and Camp Retreat Center, and the North Dallas Chambers annual Big D Barbecue Battle. So, congratulations.
It's very nice to have kind words spoken. I've been at a table with Brad Gurney, so it's great to hear kind words instead of his words. Oh, you know, I want to thank Brad Gurney. I'm picking on him because Brad's the guy who got me involved with the Dallas North Chamber of Commerce. So I really appreciate him dragging me down here, and we've been very honored to be a part of what you guys are accomplishing here. And I said it back there, and I mean it. Our chamber could, in McKinney, could learn a few things from what the chamber here is doing. You guys have a wonderful chamber, and we appreciate all the things you support and all the things you do. I brought my wife with me today. Glad to have her with me. And one thing, you know what? If it wasn't for our secretary and our office manager, I wouldn't be here because the form came in the mail. She goes, Matt, you should fill this out. You've been nominated for business here. I said, Donna, they send that to everybody. They send that. It's just membership drive. You know, we're already members. They just send that out. She goes, oh, man, I think this is something important. I said, okay. So she fills it out and asks me all these questions and stayed on me. And she's like, you've got to sign this and send it in. I was like, Donna, they're just being nice to us. We're not going to win. Donna, we're not going to win. They've got great businesses down there. We're up here. We're in McKinney. We're a member and we do a lot of stuff down there, but we're not going to win the award. Matt, you should send this in. So I got to give credit to her for staying on me to fill it out and send it in. Very honored. It's a blessing to be here. Thank you for having us. And we're just honored to be a part of your organization and very honored to be business of the year. Thank you very much. This year, for the first time ever, we would like to honor 2 additional companies who stood out during the selection process. Excuse me. For excellence in public service, we are pleased to honor Dress for Success Dallas. Financially independent by providing a network of support, professional attire, and development tools to help them thrive in work and in life. Accepting the award is CEO Janie Bordner. We announce our second award of excellence, which goes to Chapman, Hext Co. in the field of innovation. As taxation or accounting service, but Greg Hext and his team have successfully created a full financial services company with the following areas of expertise: taxation, investment banking, wealth management, and private equity fund. People and companies encounter challenges, and Chapman Hext & Company has created divisions that deliver solutions. Accepting the award is CEO Greg Hext.
What an exciting day. We had great inspiration from our keynote speaker, great food, as well as some great inspiration from all the companies that have been recognized today. Thanks to all of you, and congratulations to all the winners. We've got one very important item in business left right before we adjourn. How many of you guys got your passport checked? Everybody go through. Do you understand what was at stake? Did they tell you what the opportunity is? For those of you that visited all of the tables in the foyer, placed your passport in the fishbowl, you're eligible for a great prize. It's provided by Nick Kennedy and Rise. It's a 1-month executive membership to Rise. How's that? The winner will receive unlimited flights to Austin or Houston for a month. Now I'm going to ask Nick to come draw.
Aaron Hayes from Carter.
Good. And you don't have to get there in time to make your coffee. Somebody else will do that for you. So that's great. Let me call your attention to the calendar of events that's at your place. The North Dallas Chamber is active and vibrant in the community, in the business community as well. If all the nominees would come forward as we adjourn, we will take a group picture. But once again, thanks to our presenting sponsor, Comerica Bank, and to our gold sponsor, IMA Waldman. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.